lately, too, and finished in the top 10 just a few weeks ago at Dover. Never know what might happen here Friday night.
Saw a little smoke over there in turn 4. Oh, got a car spun.
Yep, that is the Casey Roderick car that had a little trip off into the grass in turn 4.
Looks like he got away with it, though.
I don't see any damage on the right side or the splitter. Let's see if we can. Oh, there, a little left rear damage there, yeah. Show you what happened here.
He just drove by the studio here. I saw just a little damage on the rear bumper.
Oh, yeah.
Just gonna scuff it.
You can see he was a little higher up the track, just got into the wall with the rear bumper a little bit.
So Roderick, the 19-year-old, looking to make his 3rd Nationwide Series start. And no guarantee, because there are 50 cars here to make the 43-car starting field. So practice over for the Nationwide Series. Shannon?
Well, Casey Kane, 10th in this practice. I saw you just looking under the car. Did you have some splitter issues, and what were you guys working on in practice?
Well, at the start of practice, we were on the track way too hard, and it took us most of it to get off it. Now we're, a little too far off it, so we got to get closer to the track again. But it's just trying to get the brake fluid car to turn a little better. We haven't been able to make any gains since we started, so it's a little frustrating, but I guess they'll change it around a lot for the second practice. Hopefully it'll be a lot better.
Casey, the last couple weeks, we've seen some Cup drivers trying things in the Nationwide Series to try to help them out on that side. Is there anything you can work on that might help you Saturday night?
Well, not really. I think there is things if, just...
Fuel mileage, anything like that that you just practice?
Yeah, we're just trying to get better here. If you're... It's just hard to really help over there, help here, unless you're pretty good on both sides. Right now, if we get closer here, then that maybe ought to help some, but we're just trying to get around the racetrack right now.
All right, we'll let Casey get over to Cup practice. He still has an hour, obviously, of Nationwide practice to come back after the first Cup practice, so I'm sure they'll be working on this car feverishly. Guys?
Yeah, that was a frustrated sounding driver there.
Yeah, for being 10th fastest in speed, he doesn't sound like he's very happy with this car.
Yeah, well, he really wants to be able to go out here and run the car hard like he likes to do, and he's a little frustrated that he can't make that happen yet.
So a little debrief there with Stuart Cooper on the move while Casey begins to head over to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series garage, and you look at the 10 fastest laps that were turned in this opening practice for the Nationwide Series.
Ricky Stenhouse only making 7 laps.
But they were 7 good ones.
They were good.
Second fastest, the championship leader in the NASCAR Nationwide Series.
The one restaurant with unlimited amazing food for one incredibly low price just might have gone deliciously off the chart. Only Golden Corral would introduce the lusciously amazing chocolate wonderfall. Dip fresh strawberries, marshmallows, homemade macaroons, and more in a non-stop flowing river of chocolate indulgence. That's right, a non-stop flowing river of chocolate indulgence. Golden Corral. Now this is helping yourself to happiness.
Can I help you?
Yeah, can I get a full-size car?
For full-size cars, please listen to the following menu. For convertibles, press star 1. I didn't catch that. To speak to a representative, please say representative now.
Representative.
I'm Jimmy Johnson. Everywhere I go, guys want to know if Extends really works. Well, it works for me. With over 1 billion tablets of Extends taken by men of all ages, I was sold, and you should be too. Extends is designed to maximize what you already have. It's not about not being enough. It's about being more. Extends does things only one way, really, really big.
Extends is now available in the vitamin section of these and other fine retailers. But if you're still skeptical about Extends, we'll send you a free week supply of Extends for the cost of a postage stamp.
Wow, with the help of the Home Depot, this job's a piece of cake.
Yeah, but I am starting to get a little bit of an appetite.
I think Coach is taking care of that.
Hey, you guys want 6 to 12 inch?
12.
I nailed it.
Thanks, Coach.
ESPN College Game Day, built by the Home Depot. Saturdays at 9 a.m. on ESPNU, continues at 10 a.m. on ESPN.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
NASCAR Nationwide Series practice is brought to you by Golden Corral. Help yourself to happiness.
First practice of the weekend is over for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Paul Menard, quickest lap in the books. Kenny Wallace, really happy with his race car early in the practice. What about now that it's all over, Shannon?
Well, Alan, Kenny is still smiling. We actually have a lot to cover with you, so let's get to the car. You said the best car you've ever had?
Well, it's a really good car. It unloaded really, really fast, and now it's got a little bit of a push once the sun's come out. But this is a big week for me. I want to thank UNOH, University of Northwestern Ohio, and I want to thank all the fans. As you can tell, this is a Thank You Fans car, and it's a big week for me. You know, I'm tying Jason Keller for 519 starts. And as you can tell by the blue spoiler, I'm going for a $100,000 bonus against 3 other race car drivers. So big week.
Now, I know you're 7th in points right now, 519th start. I spoke with Scott Zipadelli earlier today. He said you're coming back next year, same deal. What are your plans for 2012?
Yeah, I'm excited. All my sponsors, you know, Federated Auto Parts, American Ethanol, Family Farmers, G-Oil, you know, looking forward to Federated Auto Parts signing on here really soon. But it's just a deal where we know we're going to race next year. We just don't know about 2 years from now. So we're like a lot of the other teams. We'll probably know in early January exactly what we're up to. But I'm excited about all my sponsors verbally telling me we're coming back next year. I'm ready to roll.
Well, guys, he's going to make his 520th start next week, so he will be the all-time leader in the Nationwide Series. And coming back next year, man, I can't count, but he's going to have a lot of starts.
Look at that. Those are all, how about that? All fans that participated in the program for helping out this race team and putting this car on the racetrack and commemorating Kenny Wallace's record-tying start. Championship leader in the Nationwide Series, second fastest in practice, Doc.
Yeah, we got Mike Kelly, crew chief, and driver Ricky Stenhouse. And you guys are supposed to be in this high-pressure championship mode and be all serious. You're out here laughing, you're smiling. I mean, you get out of the car with a huge smile on your face, running only 7 laps in that last 10. How good is the car?
I think our Blackwing Speed Cargo Mustang is pretty good. I think, you know, we didn't want to practice too much. We got to practice later on, you know, around 6 o'clock. The race starts at 7:30, so it'll be closer to, you know, race conditions. And last year we got really loose in the race, so we didn't want to adjust on it too much. It was good right off the truck, and looking forward to having a great race.
Let me ask you, Mike Kelly, here, if for some reason weather does move in, and they say it may move in later tonight, and you don't get that second practice, how much, how okay are you, or is there anything else you need to learn?
I feel pretty good about it. You know, if practicing all day today for racing tomorrow night doesn't make a lot of sense to us either. You know, we've come to Charlotte a lot of years and understand what the track goes through for changes. So we had a package we knew what to expect, and then I feel really good about it. It did what we thought it would do when we unloaded off the trailer. We thought it would be right where it's at. The car's not driving perfect, but it's got really good speed, and it's really close to where we thought we should be for this point of the day.
You've got an aggressive race car driver. He got to where he is by being very aggressive on the racetrack. Okay, but now, final 4 races, how much do you, or do you at all, pull back the reins on Ricky Stenhouse here in terms of the big picture?
I'm the one in control in there. Yeah. He can tell me all he wants.
Yeah, there's definitely a split here on what we think we should be doing and what we're going to do. No, Ricky's done a really good job behind the car, and obviously we're here to race for wins. It's not over by no means. We don't feel like we have a big enough gap. You know, if we had 40 or 50 points, it'd be one thing. You know, but we're here to win this race this weekend. It's a hometown race. We brought what we think is our best car. You know, we got this car set up so it can run a lot of these last few races, like most of the people in the garage do. But the points are big. You know, we can't lose this championship. That's what we don't want to do. We don't want to make a decision on pit road. We don't want to make a setup change. It's going to put us in jeopardy of losing the championship. But we're not coming here without our guns loaded either. You know, we want to go out of here. We've won 2 races this year, and we feel like we could have won more. And I plan on trying to get a few more trophies and hardware out of the rest of the season.
So if you're keeping score at home, folks, this guy says whoa, and this guy says go. We'll see who wins it when the season is over. Let's go to Shannon.
Elliott Sadler going for the championship here in the Nationwide Series, P4 in that first practice. What'd you guys work on, and what's the plan for second practice?
I hope it rains. I hope we don't get any more practice. We were really, really happy with our One Main Financial car. It's same car we had at Kansas last week, brought pretty much the same stuff here, and felt good on the long run. Our tire bills and cameras and all that looked good, so we're really happy with our car. And I think it looks good, too. I like the pink touch to it. So so far, so good. A good day here in Charlotte.
I've got my pink bow on as well.
See, you do. Thank you for representing. It's October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so it's cool to see as many pink cars that we're seeing, not only on the nationwide side, but also on the Cup side, to bring awareness to breast cancer. And, you know, being my mom has been through that, I can't thank NASCAR and all the people enough for doing what they're doing.
I agree with you 100%, Elliot. It is a great cause. Alan?
Shannon, thanks. So both of the championship contenders, remaining championship contenders in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, pretty sporty in the opening practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And as we wind down to the final handful of races for the year, that is the picture. 20 positions on the racetrack separating Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Elliott Sadler going into Friday night's race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. When you look at how things shook out in the first practice, a couple of trends stand out. Number one, Sprint Cup guys tend to dominate the action at this racetrack over the years, and for the most part, we saw a lot of those familiar names near the top of the standings. But a couple of guys we've been used to seeing at the top of the standings at this racetrack weren't there. The Gibbs Racing guys.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect that trend to continue as we get into tomorrow night's race, but trying to turn that fast lap. Not sure that they both may have had the same problem, but Joey Logano was complaining about the splitter hitting. You just can't go very fast, so you can't get that fast lap. We saw him get faster as the practice went on, and we know that even though Kyle Busch might not have been up there, he's going to be there whenever they drop the green flag.
Yeah, and we saw Paul Menard at the top of the sheet, and he did a qualifying run, but he was actually there before he made his qualifying run. So I think that car's going to be good. KHI and Kevin Harvick's bunch, they brought some really good stuff to the track in the last couple of weeks. Last week we saw Paul Menard, and I think he had about the second or third best car all day long to Brad Keselowski, but then he had a problem with a penalty and had to come back. I think this might be a big week for Paul Menard.
All right, so we turn our attention now from the NASCAR Nationwide Series to those cars rolling out behind us, behind the pit studio, as NASCAR Sprint Cup Series practice, the opening one for the weekend, is getting underway here in Charlotte. Let's swing over and talk about the championship in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series as the chase begins to wind down toward its midway point. All these drivers so close together at the top of the standings. And that guy making a statement the last couple of weeks, Jimmy Johnson, the 5-time consecutive champion, leading a lot of laps at Dover, finishing second, dominated the race in Kansas last Sunday and scoring the win, and certainly got a lot of people's attention in the last couple of weeks. Maybe even got into some people's heads.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, they ran so good at Kansas. I mean, it was one of those things. They took I think they took 2 tires when some people took 4. They took none one time when some people took 2. It didn't matter what they had on that car for tires. They were going to the front. That car was just so good.
Yeah, and even though they're not leading the championship series right now, I think that you have to be considered the favorites right now, just based on performance. Chicago, they ran great all day. Fuel deal at the end, ran out of gas on that last lap, didn't get the finish. Battling for a top 10 spot at New Hampshire whenever he got into Kyle Busch and relegated him to a lower finish there too. So I think that everyone's take notice here. I want to see who's going to step up, who's going to jump up here and take this championship from Jimmy Johnson and this 48 team. Is anybody capable of doing that?
Well, look at the chase standings after the Kansas race last Sunday, heading into Saturday night's race in Charlotte. Look how close. Remember that each point is basically one position on the racetrack. So 8th place Kyle Busch is 20 positions from the lead of Carl Edwards. Closest chase ever, even if you stop and do the math and average out what the old point system and the current point system, the difference between them, closest chase ever as we get to the 5th of the 10 races that'll determine this year's champion. So Charlotte Motor Speedway, NASCAR Sprint Cup car. As difficult as it is in a nationwide car for these guys to handle over 500 miles?
Even more so, really, because we talk about how hard you have to drive those nationwide cars with the tapered spacers they have. These things have 200 more horsepower. That just generates more speed and more problems for you as a driver. So it is a huge challenge, and only the best we see win here.
And that one thing that makes it so tough is it's so competitive. I mean, you got so many of these cars that are running the same speed. All of them can run right together, and it's really, really tough to get an advantage over these guys.
Down in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series garage, Dave Burns on patrol for us today. Hi, David.
Hey, Alan. How's it going up there?
Excellent.
Good to see you again in that line of cars you showed at the beginning. That got me excited about watching Sprint Cup practice. And it's the kind of excitement you've been hearing here in Charlotte this week. Yesterday I had the privilege of doing an interview on Charlotte's ESPN radio affiliate, and I could sense the announcer who was asking me the questions, the excitement in his voice. And he posed a question to me. He said, with all the points changes, with the new wild card rules, and as close as everything is right now, is it perfect in NASCAR right now? I said, well, please. I mean, let's not call anything perfection these days, but they've done a really, really good job. Think about it. They've got 12 guys in the chase who are all very competitive. At least they were when the chase started out. We've got a few who are down in the bottom rungs right now. But remember, one of those guys who's fourth in points, Brett Keselowski, he got in by way of the wild card. And the top 10 were pretty close as far as the points go. So now you've got a field of 12 narrowed down to about a field of 8 who are so competitive. And as you just showed in the graphic, it's very, very close. I think the only thing that we could get from here that could make it perfect is if it stays that close all the way down to Homestead, Miami. But the Charlotte race this weekend, guys, a lot of excitement and could be a turning point in the 2011 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
David, thanks. I got about 5 different thoughts all running through my head off of that conversation from Dave. One is the last couple of races here at Charlotte, they've been wild, and we've seen a lot of turnover in championship. Remember Jimmy Johnson in the 600 had the engine in the last 5 laps of the race, and that turned the green-white checker finish when it was already a fuel mileage race, and some guys pitted and some guys didn't, and guys were running out of fuel on the last laps. And another crazy finish like we've seen in the last couple of races at Charlotte could really turn that championship picture around for some of these guys.
Yeah, and you throw in somebody like Casey Kane that had such a great run last week. I think he's going to be a factor in a win here on Saturday night. There's something for everybody in this year's chase.
Yeah, and you can throw in another driver outside there. I think Greg Biffle starting to hit a little bit of their stride with that fast Ford that he has. So, we've seen Tony Stewart win a couple of races to start the chase. Kind of hurt himself last week towards the end of that race points-wise, but still right in the middle of this. And, my gosh, as much as we talk about how exciting Saturday night's going to be, we've got Talladega, Martinsville, and the unknown of Phoenix coming up. Wow, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Now, what's different from the nationwide practice to the Cup practice? Nationwide guys with 6 sets of tires for the entire weekend. They run all of their practice before they qualify. Practice today, qualify, and race tomorrow. Sprint Cup guys are practicing now for qualifying, essentially, which will happen later tonight. Then they get a couple of practice sessions to tune in for the race. The practice tomorrow for the race on Saturday night. So a little different approach here.
Yeah, the guys can do what they want to. They've got this practice session to do whatever they want. They do have, like I say, a different agenda. They need to qualify tonight so that they can spend a little extra time on qualifying. But they can use some of this practice session for race setup. If they have some things that they want to kind of verify about their race setup, they can do that now too.
Yeah, we'll go back though. There is the talk of weather here tonight. So this practice is very important because the field will be set by their speeds in this session if it should get rained out tonight.
And that was the new fast lap you were just watching. Carl Edwards
right along
to the top of the stack in that 99 car. Championship leader coming into Charlotte.
He needs a good run here. I mean, this has been a place they've kind of been either really good or really kind of like the way they ran from
really good right now.
A lot of 399 miles in Kansas last week, and that last mile they made up a lot of ground. But he won the All-Star race, speaking of Edwards, but the 600 wasn't that great for him.
Kevin Harvick, guy in a similar situation to Edwards at Kansas last week. For a lot of the race, we'll call it a 8th to 18th place car for a lot of the race at Kansas, but then when it counted the most, ran up there and passed some guys in that last run and kept himself within 1 point of the championship lead with a 6th place finish at Kansas.
How many times have we seen Kevin Harvick and this team do that though? They find a way to be absolutely their best at the end of the race and get more usually than what they had all day.
And that's what championships are made of. I remember talking with Dale Earnhardt a lot back in the late 90s and in the year when I was able to win my championship in 99, just talking about difficult races. And I had one of those here in Charlotte in the 600 where we should have finished 25th and we finished finished 5th, he said those are the days you'll remember about winning the championship. It's when you made something from literally nothing more than you'll remember the win. So Kevin Harvick, good at doing it. I think that he feels like he needs to win a race, and they're very capable of doing that here Saturday night.
Won the last race here at Charlotte, the Coca-Cola 600 on Memorial Weekend in that 29 car. How many laps did he lead on that night? 2. The ones that counted the most.
As a fan of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, I want to get as close to the action as I can get. One way to do that is to use the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app for my HTC Evo 4G. Another way is to hide in the back of Carl Edwards' car. Yeah, Carl! Whoa, we're getting ramped!
Get unlimited access to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with highlights, news, and more. Truly unlimited data, only from Sprint.
This is not as safe as I initially planned.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. For a chance to win, pick up a game piece at participating oil change locations. Enter at pennzoil.com.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, having life insurance, or a growing business, with Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
On the drive to the national championship, LSU cruised past Florida and Oklahoma pounded Texas as the top 5 holds firm. Follow the drive to the national championship every week on College Football Finals, Saturday nights on ESPN.
Hey fans, customize my gear, only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
Most everyone's been out for their opening run in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series practice, Charlotte Motor Speedway. So now they're back in to make that next step in the adjusting process as they search for speed for tonight's run for the pole. Speed so far belongs to these 10 drivers who have put up the 10 fastest laps in the opening moments of practice.
Dale Jr. just jumped into the top 10. Landon Castle in 51.7.
And Carl Edwards, as we watched him earlier with the fastest lap in the practice so far. Now Edwards has run a 28.57. Last 2 pole positions at Charlotte by way of reference. Jeff Gordon last October, 28.19. And Brad Keselowski on Memorial Weekend, 28.11.
This racetrack's going to get way faster tonight. I mean, things are going to cool down, get under the light. It's amazing how much it picks up, and you can feel it as a driver, the speed that you have to go. And you know that you really have to go out there and put the lap down whenever it comes time.
Steve Addington on the right, his driver Kurt Busch behind the wheel of that 22 car on the left, Dave.
And when it comes time to put that lap down for Kurt Busch, the practice for that has not happened yet. You didn't see his name in the top 10 graphic there that we just showed you. He is still in what they call race trim. They are finishing their second run now and just trying to get a baseline for the race type of setup that they want under the car. The crew told me they'll probably come in after this run, put the cool down unit to the engine, and get it ready for one of those mock qualifying runs for Kurt. Kurt in the chase, guys, a lot of performance, and with a win, a lot of potential at being the guy who can come from behind and still take this chase if he wants to.
Talking about this being the closest chase ever. Remember that first chase where Kurt Busch was champion and 3 guys went into that final race and literally had to race for it right down to the last lap.
That's a great looking paint job on there too. I don't know if he gets any points for that or not, but it looks good.
Don't you love it? Yeah, that'll stand out under the lights. Here's a guy who's really stood out in the last couple of weeks in this 4-car, Casey Kane. They have really looked good lately.
Yeah, looks like another car that possibly is in race trim because he's run about 7 laps on the track. You don't see, most of the cars in the top 10 have only run a couple at most. A lot of them just run.
You'd have to think with the success he's had at this racetrack that he would have to be somebody that you keep an eye on.
I almost pick him to be, one of the guys that's going to win this thing. I know the Chase will focus on the Chase drivers, but he ran so good at Kansas, and Charlotte is his track. So he's going to get a win, and they expect that they're going to get one. They really are talking that way. Kenny Francis, this is the best place to do it.
And that's what they want to do before their time with this team is done, and they move on to Hendrick Motorsports together for next year. Casey Kane, that Kansas race, remember lap 21, they had the problem on that first pit stop with the jack braking and some other things that dropped him all the way back to 40th position. And he ran all the way back up and almost won the thing. He was alongside Jimmy Johnson for that last restart for the green-white checker.
Yeah, he had 4 tires on that last run where Jimmy had only taken 2. Looked like he might have just enough to get him, but not quite.
Yeah, I found it interesting, funny kind of people's mindset, but some people talked to me this week about whether they felt like Casey Kane let Jimmy Johnson because he was going to be a teammate of his.
Say what?
Next year. Yeah, I said, you have no idea what race drivers, the mindset of them, if you think that anybody, anytime, anywhere is going to give up a chance to win a race.
Not happening.
Ain't not happening.
Not a human.
They're hard to come by, and this is a greedy bunch when you sit down in that seat of that car.
Brad Keselowski saw him out of his nationwide car and over to Cup practice. He's already made 1 run. This is the 2nd trip around the racetrack for the Blue Deuce. 4th fastest so far. Brad is our in-race reporter for Saturday night's Bank of America 500. If you'd like to submit a question for DJ to put to that driver, go to ESPN.com, keywords in-race reporter.
It's moved up to the 3rd spot with that lap right there.
Dale will cheerfully accept all contributions for questions.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring some good ones. Brad's a great interview, so we like talking with him.
How about it, Doc?
Well, right now, everybody down here, including the 2 car you're watching right now, working totally on qualifying setup. Remember, there will be 2 practices here tomorrow, but this is totally about qualifying setup. There's Carl Edwards. He's out of his number 99 car right now, sitting atop the speed charts. They took the tires off. They only get 5 sets of tires here in the Cup garage for practice and qualifying until the race day. So they got this session here, qualifying later tonight, 2 practice sessions tomorrow. So they've used 1 set for the 99 car, and basically they've trimmed the side skirts a little bit where it was rubbing the racetrack, but feel pretty good about where Carl's going to be. And oh, by the way, the momentum that Carl and Bob Osborne had after what happened in the final laps last week at Kansas can't be measured. Carl still talking about the incredible comeback where he should have finished maybe 15th or 16th, but Bob Osborne there in the forefront of your screen stayed positive. Carl stayed positive. They worked and worked and worked, changed everything but the number, and somehow in the final laps got a top 5 finish. That was a performance they think that may have a chance of winning him a championship. Okay?
I can't disagree, Doc. And that's 2 weeks in a row of great saves for that 99 car. Remember at Dover, the pit road speeding penalty, and he came all the way back from that and had a great finish.
Yeah, I could tell this week he's really uptight about it. I saw him out kicking a football. Looked like he made about a 30-yard field goal.
It was down in Miami, wasn't it? Yep. There's Jeff Gordon, opposite end of the spectrum. Guy who ran in the top 5 almost the entire race at Kansas last Sunday, and then in the final laps, had a little contact on a restart, got shuffled back in traffic, and then the engine let go on that 24 car, and he lost a large chunk of ground in this championship.
He's only been out 1 time. He's run 1 lap, and he's 23rd fastest. It's kind of surprising. He may have had a little bit of a problem. We'll see what he does on this run. This is his 2nd fast lap of the day.
Yeah, watch this team go for broke in all 6 races. We were talking the other day as he just moved up to the 4th spot now with that lap there at 28.64. They have to go win half of these last 6 to even have a chance, and that might not be enough because these other guys, they have to pass so many cars to get to that. But a minimum of going out and winning 3 races and probably dominating them, getting that extra point for leading the most laps. But very capable of doing that.
47 points down. That's 47 positions on the racetrack behind Carl Edwards. That's a full race they gave up with that trouble at Kansas, but they'll go for it in these final 6 weeks.
This is a key. It's a family tree. It's a pair of wings. It's a secret handshake. And a ticket to anywhere in the world. It's more than a uniform. It's the door to a world most people only dream of. There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. Try it on at GoArmy.com.
This is how you're going to win a championship. You never quit. Come on, baby.
The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is on, and nobody has you covered with more access and information than NASCAR.com. With in-depth editorial features, video previews, interviews, and highlights, as well as the all-new Chasecaster. There's no better place to follow your driver's every move.
Bring it home, baby.
The ultimate online destination for NASCAR coverage is NASCAR.com.
Jimmy Johnson made a big statement at Kansas, surging to third in the standings and making a strong move for the Cup. Now, the championship is tighter than ever. With the 48 just 4 points back, the points leaders fight to hold on. Can Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick keep the champ out of victory lane? In this battle under the lights, nothing beats first place. The chase continues with the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte, Saturday at 7 Eastern on ABC.
If anyone depends on you, listen to this important message. 3 out of 4 Americans know they need life insurance, and many who have it know they don't have enough. Sound like you? How would your family get by without you? Would they lose their home or their dreams of a good education? They don't have to. You can guarantee those you love $200,000, $500,000, $750,000 or more with life insurance through AIG Direct. We're part of AIG, one of the world's largest insurance organizations, and we'll help you get more for your money, up to 70% more. Just look, less than $16 a month buys a 40-year-old man a $250,000 term life policy. That's up to 3 times what you can get from other companies for the same price. No wonder millions of people worldwide rely on AIG companies. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation. Get the protection your family needs through AIG Direct, a leader in insurance.
For a free quote, call 1-800-587-3075 or visit AIGDirect.com.
ESPN's coverage of college football continues tonight with a Pac-12 showdown. Matt Barkley leading USC against Zach Maynard and the California Bears. College football primetime served by Applebee's. ESPN tonight at 9 Eastern. Also available in spectacular 3D. I don't know if we call that the NASCAR version of a locker room, but certainly a lot of activity going on there in the NASCAR Sprint Cup garage as the teams make their preparations for tonight's qualifying and Saturday night's Bank of America 500. Dale Jr. climbing back aboard his car for another run. Remember, led that Coca-Cola 600 in the middle of turns 3 and 4, coming to the checkered flag and ran out of fuel. And Kevin Harvick won the race.
That was a tough one.
A little different paint scheme for Jimmy Johnson and all of the Hendrick Motorsports cars this week. .48, not the only number on the car. You see that 100 across the nose where we see the Chevrolet bow tie. Doc, what are they saying about this 48?
Well, Alan, it's good and bad, basically. The good memories and the bad memories. The good memories are the fact that they won 5 out of 6 races in a sequence here at what used to be called Lowe's Motor Speedway because they bought the sponsorship, not because Jimmy was so successful here. But then they have won once in the last 11 races here. And then the bad memory, you guys mentioned it, what happened back in May with 4 laps to go when the engine came apart and Chad Canals just hit his hands in his face and said, oh my, can't believe that happened. And of course, last week at Kansas, his teammate Jeff Gordon with 2 laps to go, the engine lets go. So they're hoping that their engine woes are over. By the way, those are the only 2 engine failures all year long for a Hendrick Motorsports team, and they happen to be 2 critical times in the late laps of a race. Right now, Jimmy coming in from yet another qualifying effort.
All right, Doc, thanks. And the 48 car showing well right now and has posted his fastest lap, which is 7th overall.
Yeah, those engines never blow up when you're running back, 25th or something. They always blow up when you're running up front at the worst possible time.
Keep you out there all day long, huh? Kyle Busch. We talked in our coverage of the Nationwide Series practice about how much success Kyle's had at this racetrack. And the Nationwide car hasn't won here yet, the Sprint Cup car, in a points paying race. And I don't know about you, but that surprised me. It just is one of those things that I didn't comprehend until I was studying up on this race. Dave, did it surprise you?
Yeah, a little bit, Alan, and it's probably one of the reasons why on the first run, He described his car as horrible, and I'm not sure if he was referring to the fact that he couldn't get a clean lap. There's a few cars out there trying to do the same thing, or the fact that it wasn't that good. This last run, he just simply described it as loose. So kind of pecking their way through the setups to get him a decent qualifying run. But yeah, I guess a bit of a surprise when you're so good on one side of the garage and don't have that stack of W's on the other.
And horrible to lose would definitely be making some progress. Junior. Another team that has slipped back in the championship to where now there's nothing for them except I think it was after the Kansas race, might have been after Dover the week before, but Junior said we just need to win a race.
That's it. Win a race. You got to get that out of the way. You don't want to go into 2012 with people still asking that. They don't want to face that question when they get to Daytona next year.
Full race behind. 43 points, 43 cars in the field, 1 point per position, and if you add the bonus points in there for leading a lap and leading the most laps, a little bit more than a full race behind.
Yeah, and if you were just having to jump over 1 or 2 people, that might be doable because they could have problems, but you've got a talented group of 8 in front of you.
Yeah, the bad thing about this team, for this team, is they've run really well. I mean, they started out this chase running fast. The car's been good. They just haven't had the luck. They haven't, there's just been situations that have gotten them bad finishes.
Mentioned Dale Jr. needing a win. He's had a couple of chances this year to get a win, one of them being in that Coca-Cola 600. Sunday night Memorial Weekend. Junior's leading. That's the last corner of the race. He's out of gas. Kevin Harvick went by him, got to the checkered flag first. This is a 500-mile race, though, not 600. Maybe he'll be good for the finish on Saturday night.
ESPN College Game Day cruises into Eugene as Oregon faces its biggest test since opening weekend. At the school that invented the wacky uniform, the Game Day Fashion Police pull over football's latest offenders. Plus, will the Spartans always be in the shadow of the Wolverines?
Sometimes you get your little brother excited when you're playing basketball and stuff. You let him get the lead, and then you just come back and take it back.
ESPN College Game Day, built by the Home Depot, Saturday at 9 a.m. on ESPNU, continuing at 10 on ESPN.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. For a chance to win, pick up a game piece at participating oil change locations. Enter at Pennzoil.com.
That leaky roof will cost you thousands in repairs, and gushing gutters can destroy your home's foundation. Phil Swift here for Flex Seal, the easy way to coat, seal, and stop leaks fast. Flex Seal fills cracks and holes, stopping the toughest leaks, remaining completely flexible. Flex Seal is actually liquid rubber in a can. To show you the amazing sealing power of Flex Seal, we replaced the bottom of this boat with a screen door and covered it in Flex Seal. After a day on the water, the inside is completely dry. Don't call a repairman. That'll cost you thousands of dollars. You can get Flex Seal right now for just $19.99. Flex Seal is perfect for roof repair and basement leaks and so much more. But wait, we're going to double your order. That's twice the sealing power for only $19.99. Just pay processing. Call now.
To order Flex Seal, call 1-800-710-0159 or order online at getflexseal.com.
Action, excitement, competition. Scorit.com is a style of auction where you pay a small fee for each bid. When the bidding stops, the item sells, even if the price is a penny. Winners can save up to 99% off retail price. After you sign up, enter ESPN and you'll receive $10 in free bids. Scorit features gift cards, sports collectibles, and consumer electronics, and is an accredited member of the Better Business Bureau. Go to Scorit now and get $10 in free bids. Scorit.com. You bid, you score.
Charlotte and surroundings like Mooresville and Concord, all full of racing teams, race shops, race fans. Charlotte Motor Speedway just to the north and east of what they call the Uptown area here, where the opening practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series for Saturday night's Bank of America 500 is underway live here on ESPN2. So Jeff Gordon out of his car after that last run, Dave.
The 4-time champion and 5-time race winner here certainly knows his way around this track, so he doesn't need a whole lot of psychology to help him do better, but every once in a while, crew chief Alan Gustafson there in the glasses, he'll give it a shot.
Where does that put us, Ernest? 6th, I think. And you're not cutting me short, are you? Because up there on the pylon it shows 4th.
Yeah, I cut you short. I'm going to save a little bit.
Appreciate that.
How about that? Now, he just dropped to 5th because someone snuck in there ahead of them. But, you know, back in the day, you could get away with a little psychology like that, Andy. But any more of these drivers, they see the whole track and the pylon, too.
Oh, yeah. They put these big old scoreboards right in the middle of the infield. You can't, you know, you can't trick them at all.
Well, the man was needing just a little pickup. He blew an engine last week. He's feeling a little down. He runs a good lap.
He just wants a good job, man.
Yeah, that's right.
That's sport. Good job.
So Jeff Gordon looking on as his crew goes about tinkering with that 24 car before he'll head back out. Just a couple cars on the racetrack right now. There's one, David Gilliland, in the 34 car.
Blocked off solid, looks like.
Well, when they qualify here, those engines do scream, don't they?
They really do. They'll turn up close to 10,000 RPMs tonight.
Steady hands.
Picked up a little bit, moves up 27.
And what I mean by that, I love when they come off turn 4, the way the camera angle is. You look right down inside that windshield, and you can see the driver's hands on the steering wheel. And when they're steady, that's fine. When they're busy, it's kind of entertaining.
Yeah, for us.
I was going to say, yeah. It depends on which end you're looking at that from.
Well, mine, of course. Jeff Burton, former winner at this racetrack. Looking like he's needing some speed right now.
No, he's got about 16 laps on the board, so that means he's probably working on some race stuff.
Yeah, that grill's pretty wide open.
I wouldn't get too excited just yet. And some teams and drivers like to go at it a little different. Some of them would like to get out there and run some laps, you know, run through a few things and get some confidence in what your setup is, and then throw everything at it for a qualifying run. And we've seen that happen with this team, especially. They'll go out there and do some race stuff and then jump into the qualifying mode.
So Jeff Burton headed back in to the attention of his crew. Paul Wolf looking on while work is done on Brad Keselowski's car. Doc?
Yeah, right now 4th in the chase point standings, 4th on the leaderboard in terms of overall speed. And you don't see Brad K down here because he got out of the car, and the crew tells me Brad got out. And they said, "How's the car, Brad?" He said, "Good." They said, "No, is it good or is it really good?" And Brad smiled and said, "Really good." So they sent him to the hauler to sit down and rest. They're going to let the car cool off here. Paul's just thinking about some adjustments here. And I asked Paul just a moment ago, I said, you know what? You guys are good here right now, but how much will you have to change the car between now and when you qualify, when the car can be really free? He said, you know what? We set on the pole here in May, and that's what we're figuring out right now, how much we have to adjust the car. So even though it's good right now, it won't be too free in qualifying later tonight. That's what the thinking is going on here in the 2 garage. Let's check in next door with Dave Burns in the 17 car.
And we'll actually go over to the 22, the other Penske car, Doc. Kurt Busch back in the garage now, checking out the engine bay and the wheel well of his Pennzoil Dodge. The guys were talking about the process to get your driver to that point at which you give him maybe the best setup, maybe the time he's going to put down that great lap. And we talked about Kurt going out on a couple of race runs first and now a couple of mock qualifying runs. The other thing I'll throw in there is that driver is looking for a certain feel, and that was what Kurt chirped on the radio to his crew about when he came back in this last time. He said the first run, the right front was definitely not down enough. But the last run, he said, now that is the feel that we're more accustomed to here, and it's obviously a lot more comfortable for Kurt.
And of late, Kurt's performance at this racetrack has picked up and been very solid. There was a point in time where he kind of felt like he maybe didn't have the handle like that, but of late their runs here at Charlotte have picked up and gotten a lot better.
Yeah, and I think that's whenever you hear Kurt Busch say that's the feel that he's looking for, then you really take that, Andy, and you can say that's the direction we need to go because he knows what he's looking for.
That's exactly right. That is the most important piece of data. What the driver says about any change you make or any setup that you've got. It's you know, you do want it to be fast. You want to look at your stopwatch and say, yeah, it's fast. But when that driver says, hey, this is what we need, then that's what you go with.
Check this out. Trevor Bayne, 21 car for the Wood Brothers. How about that paint job? A lot of history there.
Love that paint job.
Glenn Wood's last win as a driver in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, July 13th, 1963, Bowman Gray Stadium, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's what the car looked like. How cool is that? And, of course, Glenn's election into the NASCAR Hall of Fame being celebrated by the team. I saw Len Wood in the garage earlier today. They found the guy that made the uniforms that the team wore in that 1965 season, and he still had the patterns. So they have made some uniforms, shirts, for Glenn and Leonard, and they will be wearing them Saturday night by the guy that made the uniforms from 1965.
I can't wait to see that.
And it will be a lot of fun to see. We're going to have a lot of guys have to make this race on time in qualifying tonight. 47 cars here for 43 starting spots. Jeffrey Bodine, one of them that's going to have to qualify on time tonight. Former Daytona 500 winner.
I have to find a little bit of speed, though. He's only ahead of a couple of cars that have to make it on time in practice, so they need to pick it up a little bit for qualifying.
All right, so just a couple of cars on the track. A lot of work going on back in the garage in this opening practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And maybe a little information being traded among teammates as well.
Fantasy football team, that's what they're talking.
BCS Countdown, Sunday at 8:15 on ESPN.
The American Garage, the temple of the tune-up, the Taj Mahal of overhaul. More of them count on AutoZone parts than ever before. But parts are just part of what we do. Our trusted advice and helping hands approach is everywhere. So, whether it's his place, her place, or the pro's place, parts are just part of what we do.
Get in the zone.
AutoZone.
Look closely. This $50 Buffalo gold piece is the first United States coin ever struck using .9999, that's 4 nines, pure 24-karat gold. The U.S. government had to stop production because of a shortage of specially made gold blanks. It's no wonder the price of this edition is going through the roof. Now, you can reserve your own copy clad in 14 milligrams of pure gold. The final issue price was to be set at $50 per proof, but now this private non-monetary gold-clad masterpiece can be yours for only $9.95. With gold skyrocketing, price can only be guaranteed for 7 days. Each 2011 Gold Buffalo Tribute proof is clad in 14 milligrams of pure gold, is proof struck, and utilizes the famous Buffalo nickel design. Strict limit of 5 proofs per color. You must hurry. Call now.
To order, call 1-888-218-5220. That's 1-888-218-5220. 1-888-218-5220.
If you like video games, you need to be a member of GameFly.
Join GameFly. Choose the games you want online, get them in the mail, and send them back when you're done.
Due dates? None. Late fees? Non-existent.
I have access to every single game I could possibly imagine, and I get it for a low cost.
Go to GameFly.com now. Click the joystick in the top right corner. Enter World in the box and get started with a free extended trial. And remember, you can cancel at any time. Product shown rated E through M.
You have to have this service. You call yourself a gamer, you have to have it.
This is where young men can stake their claim, and battle-tested veterans can redeem a lifetime spent behind the wheel.
Makes history.
This is how we discovered it's possible for greatness to be annually renewed. It's where outsiders become heroes, and heroes become legends. This is an opportunity to not only seize history, but become a part of it.
NASCAR non-stop. When the race heats up, we don't take a commercial break. The chase continues, Saturday at 7 Eastern on ABC.
In the middle of a full day's coverage from Charlotte Motor Speedway here on ESPN2 that continues after the Sprint Cup practice with Nationwide Series final practice and Sprint Cup qualifying. Then on Friday, it's Nationwide Series qualifying, Sprint Cup final practice, and the Nationwide Series 300-miler. Saturday night, it's race 5 in the chase, the Bank of America 500, ABC, 7 Eastern time. Yeah, we're all over it this weekend. From the capital city of NASCAR, Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, David Reagan finished second in the Coca-Cola 600 here back in May, and he's second on the speed chart right now, Dave.
Having a great run so far, doing mock qualifying runs during this session. And I guess, David, my question to you is, you know, you go through these iterations and you're already very good on the board. How do you know when to stop and just hold your hand?
That's why I got Drew Blickensurfer to make those kind of calls, you know. Our UPS Ford was pretty fast when we unloaded. This place has so much grip. It's fairly cool out. It's a little different track conditions than we had here in May for the Coca-Cola 600. So, you know, we just try to fine tune on it. We're pretty quick so far. So I'm telling these guys, let's don't do anything crazy. Let's just make little small adjustments. But all the Fords look to be pretty fast.
He told me also they slow down a little bit when they've been this good. If they were, you know, not quite as good on the track, they'd be hustling up a little more and making a few more runs here. But pretty comfortable right now.
All right, Dave, thanks. So play along this game with me. Caption this picture. Dale Jr. we focus on.
I don't have one.
I got a new bobblehead.
Okay. I'll go with that one.
And it's crew chief Steve Letarte. Is he saying I got a new bobblehead and it's me?
No, it's just the tying these cars down the way that they are, and some rough places on this racetrack. His head's literally going back and forth in the headrest or the head supports that are inside his race car there.
Tim Ruin, our Craftsman Tech Garage, I believe, is going to help with a little show and tell here, Tim.
Just a little bit, AB. Imagine the helmet setting inside, just like DJ was talking about. The head's literally getting beat to death back and forth. So Rick Hendrick knows guys over there, Mark Horton, the guys that build the seats, they actually have a strip of Velcro right here. What's this for? That's to put a spacer in here just to tighten that area up to where your head just doesn't beat back and forth. So, you know, when you set in there, you literally lay your head over against that padding. You want another strip in there, just tell them to put you another ½ inch in there. Takes all that movement away from your head and your neck. AB?
All right, Tim, thanks.
Can definitely be a little distracting at 200 miles per hour, I promise you. It's hard enough to focus at the speed that you're going anyway. And then a lot of that happening as there's a few bumps down the back straightaway right before you enter turn 3. And you want to be totally focused when you get there.
I hope. You know, and sometimes with the onboard cameras and stuff in the race, these guys make it look so easy because they are strapped in there in that safety cocoon, if you will. But the forces on your body in the car and the bumps that you go over that, you know, you can't hardly see the bump when, for example, David Ruderman goes over it. But at that kind of speed in that race car with that stiff suspension, it's a beating.
Yeah, well, I just texted Elliott Sadler to see if I was wrong about any of this and if things have changed with this racetrack. And he said, yeah, you feel that down the back straightaway a little, but he was telling me that there was some washboard bumps that are occurring in 3 and 4 that weren't there in the spring. He said they're very small right before the center of the corner, down on the bottom.
That's interesting.
Just something
Thank you, Elliott.
He's all over it. And we appreciate that. David Ruderman, 9th fastest lap so far. Here's Mark Martin in the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Guy who has had a ton of success at this racetrack. Called it over the years my favorite racetrack.
Anytime you came here, it didn't matter what kind of car you're in. You just figured you had to beat Mark Martin. He'd set the standard for the speed that you had to go and the car that you were going to have to beat and driver you were going to have to beat in any race.
I like the way you put that. I've always said the same thing. You know, Mark Martin's always been like the standard for how fast the racetrack is. You know, he would be the first car on the track 99 times out of 100. He'd go out there and set a lap, and it would usually, hold up forever. And you could just tell how fast, how much speed the track had by whatever Mark could run.
And now, that's good. Look at the bumps there, and he's not at speed. He's kind of coasting back around in. You could see that head bouncing around inside the race car.
And I can tell you, he ran 28.70. That's just a little over a tenth off of Carl Edwards' fastest time at 28.57, and that's as fast as that 5 car will possibly go. If they wanted to go faster, then they're going to have to make a change because that's all it's got right now.
Speaking of fast, Joey Logano has put up the 3rd fastest lap in the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. Sponsor announcement earlier today here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Dollar General is going to join Joey Logano as the primary sponsor for 12 races in that 20 car for next year. David Ruderman back in, Doc.
And Alan, they've been racing here in Charlotte for 105 races dating back to 1960. And Fireball Roberts sat on the pole and Joe Lee Johnson won the race. But only once in the history of this racetrack has a Toyota won the Sprint Cup race. And I guess from that picture on the screen, that's going to give it away. Yeah, it was the 00 of David Ruderman back in May of 2009. And right now, David sitting in the top 10 in speeds, feeling like he's got a very, very good race car. But on the radio a moment ago, he's talking about how much grip this track has. And DJ, you guys were talking about it. He said this thing has an ungodly amount of grip. And there's so much grip there, it's hard to get the car to turn. And it's been a long time since I've heard drivers complain about having too much grip at these speeds at Charlotte.
He's talking in a language I never knew. too much grip. No, I mean, you always found when you went to qualify that there was a lot more there than what you were anticipating, and most drivers will tell you that they left something on the table.
Well, do you know which track is the fastest on the circuit right now?
We at it right now.
This one. Yeah, 192 miles an hour. Fastest pole speed all year was in May, right here.
Kevin Harvick back out for a run in the 29 car, the winner of that May race. Kevin second in the championship by a single point. Finishes in the chase so far. Second, 12th, 10th, and 6th. Was top seed entering the chase because he and Kyle Busch had equal number of wins during the season, 4. So the bonus points put he and Kyle atop the standings. And that has very much played a role. You know, people talk about, well, all you have to do is get into the chase. And that has played a role in keeping Kevin Harvick atop the standings through these first 4 races, having those bonus points for that seeding.
Yeah, those 26 races are important for a lot of reasons. I mean, you learn a lot about your team. You get yourself positioned properly, and winning those races early on set the standard for them and got them in a nice position.
And he's kept himself in the chase, in the thick of it by getting solid finishes. Not winning, not being flashy, but he's shown the ability to be able to go out there and win these races. So there's no telling what this team might have in them here in the last 6 races.
NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying coming up later on this evening. You'll see it here on ESPN2 as work continues inside the garage.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his Indy car. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil. For a chance to win, pick up a game piece at participating oil change locations. Enter at Pennzoil.com.
Action, excitement, competition. Scorit.com is a style of auction where you pay a small fee for each bid. When the bidding stops, the item sells, even if the price is a penny. Winners can save up to 99% off retail price. After you sign up, enter ESPN and you'll receive $10 in free bids. Scorit features gift cards, sports collectibles, and consumer electronics, and is an accredited member of the Better Business Bureau. Go to Scorit now and get $10 in free bids. Scorit.com. You bid, you score.
ESPN College Game Day cruises into Eugene as Oregon faces its biggest test since opening weekend. At the school that invented the wacky uniform, the Game Day Fashion Police pull over football's latest offenders. Plus, will the Spartans always be in the shadow of the Wolverines?
Sometimes you get your little brother excited when you're playing basketball and stuff. You let him get the lead, and then you just come back and take it back.
ESPN College Game Day, built by the Home Depot, Saturday at 9 a.m. on ESPNU, continuing at 10 on ESPN.
Ask me.
Even if you think you can live with your old mattress,
ask me how I've never slept better.
Why not talk to one of the 6 million people who've switched to the most highly recommended bed in America? It's not a Celia, Simmons, or a Serta.
Ask me about my Tempur-Pedic.
Ask me how I can finally sleep all night.
Ask me how great my back feels every morning.
Did you know there's a Tempur-Pedic for everybody? Tempur-Pedic beds now come in soft, firm, and everything in between.
Ask me how I don't wake up anymore when he comes to bed.
These are real Tempur-Pedic owners. Ask someone you know. Check out Twitter or your friends on Facebook. You'll hear it all unedited.
Ask me how I wish I'd done this sooner.
Ask me how it's the best investment I've ever made.
Tempur-Pedic brand owners are more satisfied than owners of any traditional mattress brand. To learn more or find an authorized retailer near you, visit Tempurpedic.com. Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America.
New leader in opening practice for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Greg Biffle has just gone to the top of the board, leading a Roush Fenway Racing 1, 2, 3 ranking for the moment. A couple of other interesting names in there. Regan Smith has posted the 4th fastest lap. Martin Truex Jr. up in there at 7th. David Ruderman in at 9th. And there's old 5-time rounding out your 10 quickest laps.
Only 900ths of a second difference. Top 10.
That's pretty close.
That's real close.
Jimmy Johnson looking over the computer data. Or napping standing up, one of the two.
No, he's going through his lap again. He's
visualizing?
He's visualizing, yes.
Interesting.
I just sounded good. I don't know.
I thought that was my champion driver.
I did too. I thought, man,
taking me
I
to
used to do that. Yeah, I've done that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that's what Jimmy does. Gosh, he's won 5 championships in a row. So.
Well, Paul Menard had a really sporty car in being fastest in the Nationwide Series. Let's see how this 27 car is shaping up for Richard Childress Racing now with Menard aboard. He's got the 20th fastest lap right now on the Sprint Cup side.
See quite a bit of sun on the track right now, even off of turn 2, all the way down the back, and into turn 3 now we got some shade. But that the sun seems to sit on this 3 and 4 a lot, and I mean it just typically gets slicker over there first.
Yeah, always has, always will. You talk about his 20th. Oh, wow,
not
going
anymore.
to the top. Yeah, I was going to say he's only 2/10 off, but he just picked up almost 3/10.
49 P1 there, Paul. Good job. Look good.
Don't forget about that 900s I said a while ago.
Wow. So Paul Menard making his presence known today here in Charlotte. Both sides of the garage area. Remember, Casey Kane on the Nationwide side was kind of scratching his head a little bit. They hadn't found the speed or the feel that he was looking for over there. Sprint Cup side in the 4. What are they saying about that, Dave?
I went down there, Alan, to make sure he wasn't doing the same thing because they were so far down the chart, somewhere down in the 30s right now for Casey. And as we know, he runs great here with 3 victories at this track. So sure enough, they're just doing race runs right now. Confirmed that with crew chief Kenny Francis. He said at the end or near the end of practice, they'll go ahead and change the tape configuration on the front to almost full cover there and change him up a little bit for qualifying setup and see what he can do.
All right, Dave, thanks.
We just picked up his race practice speed by quite a bit on that lap there. That's his quickest lap on his 22nd lap.
And if there's a place where this Ford team is going to get a breakthrough win with Casey Kane, this would be a great candidate for it because Casey has been so successful here at Charlotte over the course of his career. Now let's talk about these temperatures just for a second. Sorry, Dale. You guys are talking about playing off the Dale Jr. sound about the sun beating down on turn 3 and so on that we heard earlier. Air temperature 73 degrees right now. Qualifying set to begin at 7 o'clock tonight. Forecast air temperature for then is 69 degrees, dropping to 67 degrees by the time qualifying is supposed to be done.
Well, it's going to pick up. I mean, that's just what we heard Dale talking. It's just it's got a lot more grip. Motors are making more power. We should see these speeds as fast as they are now. I mean, 189 plus.
Yeah, and
even
more than that ambient temperature, just going down a little bit in that hour, the track temperature, once the sun goes down, that track temp goes down, and then the grip level just increases so much more. And that's whenever the drivers really have to get committed to that throttle.
And hope that the grip matches their level of commitment. Doc?
Well, and there have been 9 different winners here at Charlotte the last 9 races, and the guy I'm standing with won this race 3 years ago, Jeff Burton. And Jeff, I know you would like to be out there practicing, but you're in here watching. Why?
Continuation of the year, I guess. It's never good when the welders get out. We pulled something out of the chassis, so we're having to make a bracket and put some stuff back in the chassis. So I don't know if we'll get back out or not. It'll be a huge disadvantage if we don't because we'll be the slowest car in practice, so we'll go out early in the track. So, so there are a lot of reasons that this is bad, but we just got to make the most of it. Hopefully we can get out and make at least one run and have something to build on. But right now it's going to be tight.
I saw you watching your teammate Kevin Harvick up there, Richard Childress, a moment ago, and you guys were chatting. How can you as a teammate help him in terms of trying to win this championship?
Well, I think for us it's about information. I mean, honestly, it's a bad thing that we only have 1 of 4 cars in the chase, but it does enable us to put a lot of resources toward that one car. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to take and every team try to give something, to that team to try to give them all they can. But really the thing that I've been disappointed in this year is that being a good teammate makes the whole team work. And we haven't run good enough this year to provide information to help them and to push them and to make them better. And that's been a disappointment. So that's the main thing we can do is get good enough so we can help with that information and we can talk. When you're a couple of tenths off, me sitting down with Kevin doesn't do him any good because we're fighting something completely different than they are. So the main thing is get running well.
Well, maybe that luck will change Saturday night. It's a good racetrack for you. Good luck to you Saturday night.
Thank you.
Jeff Burton, a very good racetrack, home track for Jeff Burton. Would love to be on a racetrack, but a broken suspension part they are welding, and thus he is watching and not practicing. Alan?
Yeah, Doc, not where you want to be. Carl Edwards just bested his best time of this practice session a little bit.
Yeah, jumped up to the second spot, and then Kurt Busch just jumped up to the third spot.
And that 39 car, a little different look to it this week, but Ryan Newman is now fourth fastest, the 9-time Charlotte pole winner.
9 times?
9 times.
Like David Pearson stuff.
He'll be a factor tonight. And Jeff Gordon watching on now as practice continues. He's 12th fastest for the moment.
Sunday, open-wheel racing crowns a champion on ABC as the world's fastest drivers go all in for the title in Las Vegas. With everything on the line, points leader Dario Franchitti fights to hold off Will Power for his 3rd straight championship. And racing in her final laps, Danica says farewell to the sport that made her a superstar. The Eyes on IndyCar Series World Championship at Las Vegas, Sunday at 3 Eastern on ABC, presented by Sunoco.
Hi, I'm Monta Williams from Money Mutual, your trusted source to over 60 lenders that can get you up to $1,000 in your checking account by tomorrow. These are tough times, and if you're facing an unexpected car repair bill, a medical emergency, or you just need extra cash to hold you over until payday, then you need to know about Money Mutual, an easy way to get short-term cash fast. So forget about bounced checks, overdraft charges, and late fees.
Need cash tomorrow? Call 1-800-585-CASH today.
So you've always wanted to learn a new language, and now you can with Rosetta Stone. Now enriched with new tools to make learning a language even easier. Introducing Rosetta Stone Totale. And you can try Rosetta Stone absolutely free. Just call now for your free CD demo. Rosetta Stone makes it fast and fun to learn a new language correctly and confidently.
现在我会说国语啊. Now I speak Mandarin.
Thanks to Rosetta Stone, I can now speak Japanese with my parents.
Rosetta Stone has helped millions of people learn a new language. And new Rosetta Stone Totale gives you online access to sessions with native speakers, games you can play online, even a mobile app that lets you practice anywhere. Call for your free demo CD now or visit rosettastone.com and get started learning a new language free.
Call 1-800-282-0093 for your free Rosetta Stone demo CD with no obligation. That's 1-800-282-0093. 1-800-282-0093. Call now.
Welcome to an exclusive tour of the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. We have big changes to discuss and new faces to meet. But first, we're going to take a look at some of the new cars muscling their way into the series.
You just traded some serious paint with that Mustang.
These are some of the new faces that I mentioned earlier. Of course, their faces aren't always this angry looking.
The 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. Something new around every turn.
Dario Franchitti looks to hold off Will Power for his 3rd straight championship, while Danica Patrick makes her final laps in the sport that made her a superstar. It's the Eyes on IndyCar World Championship, Sunday, 3 Eastern on ABC, presented by Sunoco. New fastest lap in NASCAR Sprint Cup practice at Charlotte, Martin Truex Jr.
And a new 2nd place runner, Jimmy Johnson, 100th of a second behind Martin Truex.
These guys with this Napa Toyota have been getting some speed out of this thing lately. Been running some good races. Had a problem with an axle last week, unfortunately.
Yep. Jamie McMurray moves up quite a bit. He was down around 40th. It moves him up to 27th. Former Charlotte winner.
27th, and that he is just over 0.3 of a second off of the fastest time.
So at 185 miles an hour, 0.3 of a second is about 90 feet.
Now, how do you know that?
I got my best people on it. You don't think I'm smart enough to do that math, do you?
Russell figured that one out.
Junior's on the track, Dave.
And Alan, this is his 4th run. All of them have been in a mock qualifying situation. Here was the radio from his last run.
How to drive. Looser. Not really left rear grip. Just, you still don't get to the bottom in 3. That's just the sun sitting on the track, I guess. Down in the shade. I've turned it too quick. I didn't want to.
So this runs significantly better, moved up from about 25th to 4th. And DJ, can I get you to comment a little bit on this sunny, shady thing? Turn 3 still very much in sunshine right now.
Yeah, it really makes a big difference over there, but you kind of learn that. And so I think what you do is you take turns 1 and 2 and get your grip level of what you're going to have tonight from there, more so than what you get in 3. So it makes it a little bit more difficult right now, but that's the information that I would take, not exactly what you're getting down there in 3 and 4, where you don't have quite as much grip just because of that extra temperature with the sun shining there.
I'm always fascinated by the science of racing, the temperature. All right, 3,500-pound race car at 185 miles an hour into a 24-degree bank with basically 4 8-inch contact patches of tire on it. We take the right front suspension and that control arm that's 8 inches, we make it 7 15/16. And what happens? It changes the formula, you know? It's fascinating to me. Change the track temperature on one end of the track by 5 degrees, and it changes the grip level again.
Yeah, and as drivers, we do our hands back and forth and say it's loose.
Yeah.
To fix that with all of that.
Oh, that car is a little
There you go.
twitchy.
That's loose.
What does he need? A little, like a 16th shorter. Maybe it's a little bit longer right front end.
Yeah, it's a little loose in 4, but it went to the top.
Don't change anything.
2848.
Let's don't change anything. What he said.
All right, Doc, go ahead.
Yeah, how about that? Spoken like a true crew chief, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Kevin Harvick back out now goes to up toward the top of the charts in the 29 car. And here again, what's going to happen in the last 30 minutes as you watch Kevin Harvick coming back in? Most of these guys wanted to go out and are working on balance right now, front to back balance on the car. As you heard DJ and Andy say, it's the shaded end of the track that sort of mimics what they're going to see in qualifying right now. Most of these guys now want to bring these cars in, like Harvick, take the tires off, cool the engine down, cool the tires down, and with about 10 minutes to go in this session, as you see Tony Stewart going out, these guys are going to go back on the racetrack. Business will pick up in the final minutes. That'll be the closest the track temperature will be for them tonight. Right now, these guys that are really good feel like they're going to be very free in qualifying, so it becomes a guessing game as to how much grip you had in terms of mechanical grip for the race car between now and pole runs. Guys?
And so, Doc, given those circumstances, I suggest that you keep your eyes on that top part of the screen where that graphic is, because you'll see that thing flash up that says new fastest lap a lot in the next little while here.
Again. We just saw Biffle go to the top. First we saw Harvick, then Stewart jumped right up on top right after him. Then here comes Biffle right behind him and set the new fast lap after 28-20. So 190, almost 191 miles an hour.
Wow. Well, it was just a few minutes ago that Martin Truex Jr. had the fastest lap, Dave. He's got knocked back just a little bit since then.
Alan, wait till you hear his description of how fast the track is now and how fast it's going to be. You want to run that by me again?
Well, it's crazy fast right now, and it's going to be really crazy fast tonight. So I don't think we've ever been this quick here in practice. And, you know, typically it gets a lot faster tonight. So we're in for some big numbers tonight, I think, for qualifying. But so far, the Napa Toyota's been good. Just keep making small adjustments and going back out and getting faster. So looks like we've got to pick it up a little bit more again.
How does really crazy fast change what you do?
You just in the gas a lot longer, you know. I think tonight you guys will be close to wide open in 1 and 2. I mean, it's getting that fast. So it's pretty cool to go around here that quick. This place has always been kind of neat to qualify at just because it's, you know, the way you drop off into 1 and land. You get a lot of sensation of speed here, off into 3, trying to pull it down the banking. So it's a fun track to qualify on, and when it's this fast, it's really fun.
Something only a relatively few people in the world get to do, Alan. It sounds like a ton of fun.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's when you start putting duct tape around your foot, around the gas pedal, and then you have to hold your right leg down with your right hand.
Because your leg's trying to come up.
It's trying to come up, and you know that you need to keep it down there.
So one of the fun things for those of us not in the race car, to watch for during qualifying tonight. That moment when the driver unbuckles and climbs out of the car after that freaky fast qualifying lap, and the hands still have the shake.
And you can't talk for a minute.
Yeah, you just kind of see.
Yeah, you want a second, because that's embarrassing to get out. Not they don't catch your breath, but
yeah.
Unless you just went the fastest.
Maybe it'll be one of these 10 guys that we're watching the old handshake from. And I'm not talking about the congratulatory handshake either. During what could be a crazy fast, or what was it, super crazy fast qualifying section tonight here in Charlotte.
It's this way.
Huh. Okay, I did not anticipate this thing being inside the wall. That's going to take a lot longer than I thought, and I really got to bail.
What?
All right, so as soon as whatever that is fully breaks out, it will shoot it in the face with this. After that, it's pretty much just cleanup. Okie doke. Have a good night.
Want a body like this? Then you need this, the Rack. The Rack is the fitness breakthrough that transforms into 3 body sculpting positions. Standing uses all your body weight to build muscle. Bench elevates your body for rapid muscle sculpting. And flat allows for insane ab-ripping rollout exercises. The Rack is nearly 30 pounds of solid steel and virtually indestructible. Bam! Making it the perfect way to build bigger sculpted muscles fast. The secret to the Rack is its exclusive zone progression training method. By rapidly moving from exercise to exercise in muscle zones, you burn fat and build muscle. Blast out upper body exercises like shoulder presses, tricep dips, elevated push-ups, bicep curls, and extreme pull-ups for a chiseled and defined upper body. Rip through core zone exercises, reverse ab crunches, double leg ab crunches, and ab shredding scissor kicks. Lower body zone moves like power squats and one-leg press squats that get powerful chiseled legs. The result? The ripped body you want with workouts in as little as 30 minutes. The Rack is part of the complete system developed by elite fitness trainer Owen McKibben. The Rack also includes this 22-minute totally ripped on the rack workout where Owen is your personal trainer and he will get you results.
Men's Health called these best abs on the planet. I'm going to show you how to get them.
Plus, Owen's Killer Fat Shredder DVD. You'll get lean and ripped with exclusive rack moves like Plyo Chest Sculpt, Combo Fat Blaster, and Ripped Ab Rollout. Order now and get this special Get Ripped on the Rack 30-day trial for just $14.99. And receive the Get Ripped on the Rack meal plan custom workout guide free.
Real results, real fast.
Order now and get 3 more Killer Rack workouts free. Big arm blast, explosive chest, and ripped abs on the rack. When you order, also ask how you can get the Rack system shipped right to your door for free. You get all this, the Rack, 5 Rack DVD workouts, meal plan and workout guide to try for 30 days for only $14.99.
Call 1-800-835-9454.
Got a great lineup for ESPN's college football on Saturday. Noon Eastern, the 11th-ranked Michigan Wolverines take on Big Ten and cross-state rival Michigan State. Then it's an SEC showdown at 7 Eastern. The Florida Gators taking on the Auburn Tigers. 10:15 Eastern, Arizona State and number 9 Oregon. College football on ESPN and ESPN3 Saturday. Also streaming live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. We are watching some really fast laps get put on the board in NASCAR Sprint Cup practice. Now, we got this garage camera mounted up on the roof of the Cup garage last week at Kansas for the first time. It took one team, 1 week to figure that out and hang a sponsor something in front of it? That's over Matt Kenseth's car.
I don't think I would like that as a crew chief. Have somebody looking over my shoulder. I'm working on my car.
Trust me, there's a couple of them that noticed. Paul Menard was fastest earlier. That lap didn't move him up any. On the speed chart, 7th fastest in the 27 car.
Speaking of Matt Kenseth, team putting up a little sponsor deal there. He's moved up to the 3rd spot. We've seen Matt with some speed here this year. Yep. A lot of these faster racetracks, getting that Ford up front.
There's a 17 car, a little different look to it this week.
He's actually my pick to win this race on Saturday night. I think he shows that he might have to deal with Matt Kenseth before this championship battle's over.
Well, I'll say this. In the 600 in May, he probably could have and should have won that one and had to stop for fuel with 8 laps to go. And then the caution came out with 5 to go, and he wound up getting.
I did my research. I knew what I was doing when I
Did
picked
you?
him.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I should know better. Kyle Busch, 18 car.
He's 24th so far. You see, just about everybody that's gone out lately move up.
Yeah, I think that's getting ready to change right here. As soon as he negotiates turns 3 and 4.
Dave Rogers looking on. Got the stopwatch in hand.
Look fast.
That looks smooth, too.
Look fast. Wind up. Oh, 4th. Did move up a lot.
All right, well, Kyle Busch moving up just ahead of Kevin Harvick on the overall speed chart for the moment, Doc.
And a lot of concern down here in the 29 car. Now, Kevin Harvick came in a moment ago after a mock qualifying run. Gil Martin, Richard Childress, all the principals were looking at the left rear of the car. They bolted on a brand new set of stickers, and they delaminated the left rear tire in 1 lap. Kevin felt something came in, and sure enough, the left rear tire had delaminated. They have sent that tire over to the Goodyear engineers to be looked at. And for another reason, Goodyear has to okay the fact that NASCAR gives them a replacement tire, because they're only allowed to have 5 sets here between practice and qualifying. So that, and they've also looked underneath the rear of the car at the suspension to see if there's something going on there in the left rear. They think it's okay. It may just have been a fluke situation, but obviously a bit of concern here. And now they're waiting to hear back from Goodyear to be able to get a left rear tire to put on this car to make one final run here as the cloud cover comes over.
Delaminated.
Yeah, that's just what it was. It's probably just a freak thing. You know, Goodyear does such a great job building these tires to do what they do. I mean, you know, these incredible speeds they're running here. But with that delamination, what it is just maybe some contamination in the mold. Somehow maybe that tire just had a little blemish in it. And it's so rare. We don't see that very often. That's why it's kind of big news. Goodyear will take that back and really examine it and probably give Kevin Harvick's team another tire.
And specifically what delaminated is where where pieces of the tire come together.
Yeah, it's where they're cured in the mold, and it's like, you know, stuck to the carcass, but it comes loose a little bit.
The pieces of the tire where they come together come apart. And that's not a good thing. Landon Castle in James Finch's 51 car posted a pretty good number early in this practice session. Got knocked back a bit by not being on the racetrack for a little while.
He's out there. He just doesn't pick up. Actually, just 200ths off of what his fast lap was.
Yeah, this is a team, though, that's been doing...
Oh, really good 1 and 2. I don't think it hit the splitter like it hurt me. Might have got the splitter a little bit, but really good off of 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, this is a team that's been doing some R&D work for the Hendrick Motorsports team. And I do believe that this is one of the things that's really makes this 48 team and all these Hendrick cars peak at this time of the year. They spend a lot of time during the regular part of the season where they've actually prepared cars, engines, and different packages for this 51 car to go out there and test and see how improved some of the parts. And I think now Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon are taking advantage of that.
If Jimmy Johnson is making a practice qualifying run here, as the nose of that car would indicate, that weaving back and forth off of turn 2 would tell me that was his warm-up lap, and this is the flyer.
Yeah, and probably just something that he felt the last time that he went out. He wanted to be able to go through turns 3 and 4, like coming to get the green a little bit harder. Felt like that he needed to scuff those front tires a little bit to get the feel and the grip that he really wanted.
Well, let's see where this puts the 5-time champ.
Moves it up.
Faster than he was. Up to the 3rd spot, Doc.
And guys, Chad Knaus had the car poised and ready, waiting for this big bank of clouds to move over in front of the sun and it to cool off. And there's Chad on top. He was watching, waiting. When the clouds cover almost got in front of the sun, see the sun now is behind that bank of clouds, he told Jimmy to go. He said, it's this cloud that'll cool off the racetrack and may give us an indication of what we'll have later in qualifying. And that's why Jimmy went when he did, and probably why he was a little bit quicker than he had been before. Guys?
That's pretty smart. You know, that's just the kind of things, there's little details like that can make a difference.
That's kind of why he's
maybe
5-time champion.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad just moved up to the 4th spot. Man, this board just keeps changing.
Yeah, look how tight it is. I mean, we do have Biffle up there at 28-27.
Yeah.
Then we've got, Stewart at a 35. Kane just ran a fast lap at 28-39. Same thing for Keselowski at 39. I mean, these are incredibly close and fast laps. And then Johnson there at a 41.
And now remember, the order that they'll go out and qualify tonight is the inverse of the order from this qualifying session. So with that knockout style qualifying tonight and the cooler temperatures and the speed we're expecting to have in this racetrack, that is going to be some kind of fun to watch.
It is, and that's why these guys are trying to get out there and get this fast lap so they can go late. It's going to be worse speed tonight. I will mention that the 31 team did get back on the track. They were worried about having to go out last. They did move up to 25th, so if they can maybe pick it up a little bit more from there, they can go a little bit later.
And I'll give you this. Fastest time so far, turned by Greg Biffle, 28-27. In May, the pole time was 0.5 of a second faster than the fast time in practice. Knock 0.5 of a second off of Biffle's time now, and you're talking new track record potential tonight in qualifying here.
Could happen.
Here's to the pursuit of better, faster, cleaner, funner. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil, Pennzoil.
If you need cash now, here's how to get up to $1,500 fast with instant approval and no credit checks. Simply log on to needcash.com. Tell us how much you need, and in minutes the funds can be wired. It's just that easy and just that fast, regardless of bad credit. Needcash.com is available online 24/7. Log on to needcash.com and see how quickly you can get the cash you need.
Hey fans, customize my gear, only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
The Queen has created a powerful curse, and it's coming.
It's here!
Welcome to Storybrooke.
Enjoy your stay.
ABC's Once Upon a Time. Series premiere Sunday, October 23rd.
Catch the exclusive unveiling of the first BCS rankings. Find out who's #1 and the surprise contenders in the top 10.
The team that I would give an edge over the others is Stanford.
BCS Countdown, Sunday, 8:15 on ESPN.
I don't give up. Not in football, not in life. I don't think my glory days are behind me. I think they're in front of me, and I'm ready for them.
Get back in the game with Nutrisystem for Men. Order now and get our lowest prices of the year.
So what about you? Where's that warrior gone to? It's easy to look in the mirror and say, I look pretty good for a middle-aged guy. Well, don't look good for a middle-aged guy. Look good, period.
Join Dan Marino and nearly 1 million other men who've gotten dramatic results with Nutrisystem for Men.
Look, you don't have to go it alone. You can look better, you can feel better, and you can be better.
Order now and get our lowest prices of the year. Enjoy pasta, burgers, pizza, dessert, and snacks, all for about $10 a day. Our lowest prices of the year.
I'm still a warrior. I always want to be a warrior. So what are you waiting for?
Call now, 1-888-769-DIET before this limited time offer ends.
Jimmy Johnson looking on, actually making some notes for his team as he waits inside that 48 car for another run in practice here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Greg Biffle has just gone back to the top of the board. Dave?
Been out of the car for a couple of minutes now, Alan. Of course, Greg, recently a couple of poles on the season. What are you waiting for? Just the prime conditions here at the end of practice for another run?
Yeah, Matt's, really got a handle on this thing. He's watching the clouds and the temperature, and the engineers are. We're just waiting till the end of the run here to use our last set of tires. We don't want to get out there too early and the temperature drop and some guys put some fast laps up. So we're waiting toward the end here and see if we get a little cloud cover and let it cool down. Get it closest to the conditions we're going to qualify in.
Now, seriously, is it important to win practice? Do you want to stay on the top of the board?
Well, we want to, because that late draw is going to be very important, and the temperature's going to be dropping. Plus, anytime there's weather, a chance of weather, we know that the field will be lined up by practice time. So that's important for us to concentrate on qualifying.
You guys have talked about it. That qualifying order, very important on a chilly night like tonight.
Dave, thanks. And those numbers that we showed you while Dave was interviewing Greg Biffle, how about that? All mile-and-a-half tracks are not created equal.
No. I know it may look very similar to the fans, but gosh, they are so different. The way they drive and the speed that you can get out of them.
Best finish of this season for A.J. Allmendinger in the Richard Petty 43 was here in May. And that's a pretty good lap.
Bumped up to third, 190 plus. You know, this is a mile-and-a-half racetrack going 190 miles an hour. It wouldn't be long, average. So it wouldn't be long before we'd be bumping up against 200 miles an hour at a mile-and-a-half track.
Yeah, the top 10 right now are all over 190 mile per hour averages. Regan Smith in the 78 goes to the third spot.
It's funny, we were talking about Regan during the last commercial break, how he'd been up like fourth fastest earlier, and all of a sudden he was 25th. As guys have continued to make runs and the temperatures, the track temperature in particular has cooled. David Reagan was second fastest earlier. Right now he's 18th. Let's see what this lap produces.
David's finished on the lead lap in his last 6 Charlotte races, which is the most of anyone. Knows how to go fast. Now look at our top 5. We talk about all these chase drivers trying to get situated. Top 5 don't have anything to do with the chase other than trying to mix things up for them.
Survey says up to 12th.
Up somewhat. Basically tied Carl Edwards, which they've been kind of right together the whole day at the 28.44. That's only 12th.
Casey Kane went out a little while ago and went up to like third fastest. Now has been bumped back to 7th or so on the scoreboard. I say or so because it's a picture that's changing by the second, it seems like.
Yeah, you can see him on another run here. Casey does such a great job of holding his car out, making the perfect arc into the corner, working the throttle at these places. That's why he's so good at these mile-and-a-half tracks.
Those hands weren't very busy.
No, they weren't, and you can see the grip the racetrack has because these drivers, Casey doesn't run quite as fast as what he had, but you can see how much grip it has because they're not even coming close to that 4th turn wall right now. And when your car will go through turn 4 and not jump out there at the wall, just shows the grip level they have.
Matt Kenseth, talking about him a little bit ago. Let's see what kind of a number we get here. A little bit faster. Up to 8th quick for Matt. 28.39. Track record here is 27.948 seconds. Set by one Elliott Sadler, October 2005.
Wow.
So it's stood up for a little while.
Yeah, but it's in jeopardy tonight. I just can't remember ever. I mean, never have we seen speed like this in practice.
Tony Stewart looking at some numbers.
Yeah, as I turn around and see the sun shining out here, I'm even more amazed at the speeds that we're seeing here. This just shows how good these teams have gotten, these drivers, and obviously with the Goodyear tire.
Well, the tire's the same that we had in May. Obviously, the track is too. I mean, this really does showcase how much these teams have improved these cars.
It's about 20 degrees cooler than it was.
Yeah, it is cooler
in May. So that's going to add to the grip and the speed, and even make a little speed under the hood too with the cooler temperatures.
Absolutely.
Right? Joey Logano, 25th fastest for the moment. As Jeff Gordon comes out to make another run. Love that look right there, watching those hands down inside that car. And for Jeff, didn't move up any.
Actually about a 10th slower than his fastest lap right there.
You know, at this speed, Dale, they got to be running really close to wide open without cracking the throttle.
Boy, you can't be off of it much, and I would say probably just to set the car more than anything else, and we may see a few drivers try to make that happen tonight as it gets later in the session and they see how much speed that track actually has in it. Brad Keselowski picks it up to 7th quickest, 28.36.
Those 30s are cheap, a lot of them.
It might be cheap. I promise you it's hard to come by inside there.
Wow. This is going to be something tonight when they run for the pole here at Charlotte at 7 Eastern time here on ESPN2. Greg Biffle is the leader in Sprint Cup practice so far. And look at that. You're talking about 30s being cheap.
Look at that.
Because there's a lot of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I guess that's what he's talking about.
There's another one. More to come from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
This is a key. It's a family tree. It's a pair of wings. It's a secret handshake. And a ticket to anywhere in the world. It's more than a uniform. It's the door to a world most people only dream of. There's Strong, and then there's Army Strong. Try it on at GoArmy.com.
Ask me.
If you think even the best bed can only lie there,
ask me what it's like when my Tempur-Pedic moves.
Talk to someone who owns an adjustable version of the most highly recommended bed in America.
Ask me about my Tempur Advanced Ergo.
Ask me about having all the right moves.
These are real Tempur Advanced Ergo owners. Find one for yourself. Check out Twitter. Try your friends on Facebook. See what they have to say, unedited.
Goes up. Ask me what it's like to get a massage anytime you want. Goes down.
Ergonomics. Ergonomics.
Tempur-Pedic brand owners are more satisfied than owners of any traditional mattress brand.
問我點解唔想離開我嘅 Ergo.
Ask me why I'm glad I didn't wait till I'm too old to enjoy this.
Start asking real owners.
Ask me how to make your first move.
It's the perfect time to save up to $400 on your own Ergo. Find out more at Tempur-Pedic.com.
Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America.
Well, I think that'll do it.
What?
Most of this liquid will just evaporate, and the floorboards are just going to absorb everything else, so... Yeah, have a good one.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Down to the final 5 minutes of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series opening practice. All these drivers looking for some open space on the racetrack to make their last practice qualifying run without anybody getting in the way or stirring up the air around them. Documented earlier in the practice, Jeff Burton had a problem on his car that required some welding being done. Back out for another run.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time in race trim, so they didn't get a fast lap. So they found the problem. The car had to go in there and weld on it. Afraid they weren't going to get out to actually prove their time, so they'd have to go out really early in the session. But they do move up with that run up to 21st.
Wasn't that long ago that 28.53 had been towards the top of the board there that Jeff Burton just ran. 21st right now, though.
Paul Menard, one of the guys who was atop the speed chart earlier in that 27 car. Right now back to 18th. There's a bunch could use something good. Now there he goes. Back to the top.
Fix that.
There's that flashing new fast lap thing again.
I tell you, Paul's on it this weekend now. Had that Nationwide car flying in practice earlier. Now he's got this one doing the same thing.
Started to say before that speed came up that since he won Indianapolis, they've not had very good luck at all.
They haven't had much luck. They've had some pretty fast cars at times, but they just haven't had the luck.
Yeah, I think that's the key, though. They've had some fast cars, and it's just a matter then of putting that all together more often as they try to make better races and become a better team, a more consistent team.
All right, so in these last few minutes of practice, we're going to see a lot of cars. We'll see a lot of changing on the leaderboard, probably. I had to hedge my bet there because sometimes they're going to slow down a little bit. Whatever change they make just doesn't work.
It's going to have to beat you. You just can't go any faster than this, but we haven't seen that yet. Keep making it happen.
We got good conditions right now, though. You can see all the shade on the track. It's pretty well shaded all the way around.
And if it doesn't pick you, if it actually, the track hasn't cooled off as a driver, you see that shade, you automatically think you should go faster.
He doesn't go much quicker. He does go a little quicker.
Yep, but not much. So Jeff Gordon, 27th, and that'll be the last run that he gets in this practice session.
Yeah, remember Martin Truex was first earlier. Now he's all the way to 15, 16, 15.
Jimmy Johnson just coming onto the track, getting up to speed.
I'm just so intrigued looking at this board by the top 7 being non-chasers. I mean, I think that just shows, the intensity. They've got things to prove here as they come here, and I realize this is just getting ready for qualifying, but shows the speed in the cars with all of those drivers. Menard, Biffle, Martin, Smith, Ambrose, Allmendinger, and Bain up there.
Green flag for Jimmy, if this were a qualifying run.
Yes.
And this is the way you talk about it. When you come in the garage and you say, okay, when I came to the green, it was like this. When I came to the white, so this is really, truly a simulated qualifying run, and you even discuss it that way.
And I think what we'll see tonight is just one lap. They're going to block these things off and pump the air up in the tires for that one lap to get maximum grip and see what they can do as Jimmy Johnson goes to the 8th spot.
Another 30, 35.
I said they're easy to come by.
They are. Well, I said they were cheap. I didn't say they were easy to come by.
Difference, I guess.
Ask one of those team owners how much you expect to get that 30.
Yeah, they're not cheap either.
Here's Kurt in that color we love on that race car. That is just going to be some kind of sharp under the lights here Saturday night for the Bank of America 500.
Spotter can pick that one out. I don't know, though. Paul Menard's car looks almost like that.
That's true. Both got a 2 to start as well, 27, 22.
We'll see. He looked like that was carrying a lot of speed off the turn. He didn't keep it right down to the bottom. He kind of let the car go where he wanted. That's translated speed here for Kurt Busch. He wasn't out of the gas much.
It looks fast. Still just 28.76. They're a little slower. It's still fast.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
Denny Hamlin up into the 6th position with a run.
Casey Kane to the top.
My goodness. Look at that. 191 and a half.
From that car. And we're not done. Got plenty more still to come from Charlotte tonight. NASCAR Nationwide Series final practice, 6 Eastern, ESPN2. And then what could be a record-setting qualifying session for the Sprint Cup Series at 7 Eastern. Tomorrow, Nationwide Series qualifying, Sprint Cup final practice, the Nationwide Series 300-miler, and then Saturday, race 5 in the chase, the Bank of America 500, all from here in Charlotte, Saturday night's race on ABC. Up next, Sports Nation, presented by Toyota. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. See you in an hour. Our Thursday NASCAR-thon from Charlotte continues on ESPN2. Up next, NASCAR Nationwide Series final practice to get ready for Friday night's 300-miler that you'll see live here on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern tomorrow night. Cars on the racetrack earlier today. Now they come out for the practice that will matter the most, as they have to make all the final preparations they need before tomorrow night's race. They'll only be on track on Friday for 2 qualifying laps before the green flag in the race. And inside the ESPN pit studio, Alan Bestrick with 2-time Charlotte Nationwide Series winner Dale Jarrett and champion crew chief Andy Petrie. So you've been on the track once already in the middle of the afternoon. Now you come to the evening where the track conditions are as close as they're going to be to what you'll race under tomorrow night. What are you looking for as a driver and crew chief?
Yeah, as a driver, you want to go out and hopefully run as many laps as you possibly can to really get a feel for what your race car is going to do. As you said, Alan, the track conditions very similar to the way they'll start the race tomorrow night. So this is your best opportunity to see really what your car has, get those adjustments right, and get ready to go for the race.
Yeah, you're right. Dale's right. What you want to do is have a driver that wants to stay out there and run a lot of laps. Because if he's running a lot of laps, he's happy with the car. You want to try to get that thing as balanced as possible, and you're checking your speeds against your competition, obviously, constantly doing that. But this is that chance. The conditions are fairly close, and they'll be able to really get their cars dialed in for tomorrow night's race.
Weather conditions over the course of today. We had a couple of sprinkles earlier today. The radar presently showing, and the sky showing. Looks like we're going to be good and dry for the rest of the night. First practice was 85 degrees, the track temperature. Currently, track temperature showing as 80 degrees. And that will continue to drop as that sun continues to drop a little bit lower in the sky. How much, though, that track temperature will drop over the course of this practice is the question.
Well, it'll come down. It may come down another 3 or 4 degrees, but it's fairly cool. At that 73 degrees, that's pretty cool track temp.
And as far as what the expected conditions are for tomorrow night, there's going to be a cool front that's going to pass through the Charlotte area overnight tonight. And the temperatures for tomorrow night are going to be a little bit lower. The high for the day tomorrow is going to be 75 degrees, and it's going to drop down potentially through the 50s by the time we race tomorrow night. Drivers getting ready to climb aboard and buckle in. We go into the Nationwide Series garage and check with Dave Burns. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Alan. How's it going tonight? If you look at a race car and it looks fast, it probably is. Paul Menard's 33 Chevrolet, it looks fast. Paul was quickest in the first practice earlier today, and that was, first of all, in the race trim. And then when they went to a qualifying trim, they stayed the fastest car in first practice. I asked crew chief Chris Carrier what he wanted to accomplish, given that they've already been to the top of the board once today. He said in the final practice, that word that Andy used, balance. We need to make sure that in these conditions, the car remains balanced as we search for a little more grip and try a few different things on the 33 for Paul Menard. Shannon Spake?
Well, Dave, Brad Keselowski has been stellar on mile-and-a-halfs this season. 4 wins, including that dominant performance last week at Kansas. This day, however, didn't start exactly the way the team had expected. They had a left rear tire rub early in the first practice. They actually didn't get it resolved till about the halfway point of practice number 1. I did speak with Todd Gordon. He feels like it is remedied. He says the tires are good. In fact, this is the same set that they ran during that first practice. However, they did not get a good feel as to what kind of car they have. They wanted to try some things that they weren't able to try because of the time. So this practice will be pretty busy for this number 22 car. But right, Alan, I mean, that's why we practice.
That's right. That's why they get the extra track time, make the most of it. 50 minutes remaining, though, whereas they had a good bit the day today. So a lot of work to be done. Kyle Busch's team, some work to be done on that 18 car to try and get it in contending mode from what we're expecting to see out of Kyle in the Nationwide Series at this racetrack.
I'm sure he will. He's one of the best at getting his car like he needs it, and I'm sure they'll have this thing dialed in pretty quick.
Yeah, and they don't need a lot more time than what they actually have, because most of them are going to try to stay on this one set of tires. With the number of sets being limited for the weekend, they want to save all they can for tomorrow night's race.
And the championship leader in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., had a very quick car in his runs in the first practice session today. They'll look to confirm that and get him set to go out not only after precious ground in that championship with the number of races in the season winding down, but also Stenhouse, one of the drivers, competing for a $100,000 bonus from Nationwide Insurance in Friday night's race. Up next, after this Nationwide Series final practice, it's Sprint Cup Series qualifying, potentially a record-setting session. Coming up, you won't want to miss that. Then our Friday NASCAR-thon begins at 3 Eastern Time with Nationwide Series qualifying, followed by Sprint Cup Series final practice. Then we'll wrap up the day with Nationwide Series racing, the 300-miler tomorrow night at 7 Eastern Time. Saturday night, it's race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the Bank of America 500 on ABC at 7 Eastern Time. The cars on the track when we come back.
If you have gout and think a few attacks a year are all you have to worry about, think again. Fact is, gout can attack silently even between flares. You may not feel it, but gout's root cause, high uric acid, can allow crystals to continuously form and build up in your joints. Over time, this may lead to attacks in other joints, constant pain, and joint destruction. So don't wait. Get more information at goutinfo.com and talk with your doctor about ways to keep your uric acid at a lower, healthy level.
Hello, Mrs. Jensen. You don't have any Snickers in your shopping cart. Let me help you. The neighborhood kids love Snickers on Halloween.
We're definitely going to her house.
Snickers is Halloween satisfaction.
I'm a Wrangler guy. Always have been, always will be.
Wrangler 5-star premium denim jeans. For long-lasting comfort and value, the right choice is Wrangler Real Comfortable Jeans. Available at Target.
Can I help you?
Yeah, can I get a full-size car?
For full-size cars, please listen to the following menu. For convertibles, press *1. I didn't catch that. To speak to a representative, please say representative now.
Representative.
In Springfield.
October's now Anytober. Any regular footlong is a $5 footlong, starting at 7 a.m. Subway, eat fresh.
What happens when a beer tastes both refreshing and flavorful? New Guinness Black Lager. Taste it, believe it.
Sunday, open-wheel racing crowns a champion on ABC as the world's fastest drivers go all in for the title in Las Vegas. With everything on the line, points leader Dario Franchitti fights to hold off Will Power for his 3rd straight championship. And racing in her final laps, Danica says farewell to the sport that made her a superstar. The Eyes on IndyCar Series World Championship at Las Vegas, Sunday at 3 Eastern on ABC, presented by Sunoco.
Fire them up, roll them out is the signal being given in the NASCAR Nationwide Series garage for Nationwide Series final practice. Brad Keselowski, defending series champion, and the man who has been, along with Carl Edwards, the hottest driver on the series of late, heading out in his Penske Dodge. First practice earlier today for the 22 team, though. Got off to a little bit of a smoky start.
And a nagging left rear tire rub. Went out a couple times and had to come back in and work on the left rear quarter panel and get some clearance on that thing so they could make some fast laps.
And you heard the report from Shannon a minute ago that the tire that the set of tires that's on the car now is in fact the same one that was on it when that fender was rubbing. So a little bit of a fine-tuning job there on that 22 Dodge Challenger, and Brad Keselowski will head back out to try and continue this torrid run that he's been on in the NASCAR Nationwide Series that included last Saturday's race at the Kansas Speedway. There were 200 laps in that race. Brad Keselowski led 173 of them. At one point, this point, when they had a little hiccup on pit road, he fell back to like 14th.
And just made an incredible run to the front. Look at this, fast cars everywhere.
It took him 4.5 laps to get there.
That did.
Yeah.
All of 4.5.
I was kind of expecting to hear the bugle like the cavalry charging when he was riding up through there, splitting those cars like that. Tremendous run for Brad. He and Carl Edwards have been dominant in the last month in the Nationwide Series. We've talked about Brad. What about Carl, Dave?
Not in the car yet, Alan. We've seen times when drivers will run the first practice and then, because their car is so good, not run the second practice for scheduling or to, not worry about those tires that are so worn out. For Carl, it's just slightly different. They're waiting for the temperatures to cool down a little bit more. 2 reasons for that. One is so that they're closer to race time temperatures. The other one is, here's a quiz. What happens right after Nationwide practice here?
Sprint Cup qualifying.
Sprint Cup qualifying. Carl is obviously involved in that, and so he'd like to get a read of kind of what the track's doing as close as he can to the time that qualifying session starts. So we've talked about the Nationwide Series drivers utilizing their time here to practice things for the Sprint Cup side. There's one more.
Was there a prize for getting the answer to that right before Andy or Dale jumped in? No? Okay.
Well, one of the things he's talking about is that he doesn't want Carl to go out. Crew chief doesn't want Carl to go out and get a read on the track. If it's going to change, if you're in a situation where the track is changing, you don't want to be adjusting on it in that beginning part of the practice. You want to wait till it, stabilizes a little bit. Especially if you feel good about your car, you don't really want to be messing with it much.
Well, there's no reason for that 60 team not to feel good about their car as far as the way they've run in this entire season for Carl Edwards and the 60. We'll talk more about him when he's on track. The Speedway is open for business. And now we'll see how many laps some of these guys make in this opening run. You can see about the entire back stretch, turns 1 and 2. Most of turn 4 in the front stretch completely shaded. Still a little sun on that banking in turn number 3.
Yeah, these drivers are already going to feel a big difference in this racetrack for 2 reasons. It has cooled down since that first time out, and there's more rubber down on the racetrack since the Cup cars were out there practicing for an hour and a half also.
Riding with Brad Keselowski.
Tell you what, I didn't hear him back out of the throttle getting into turn 3 right there. See how much throttle he can carry into 1. Well, he's not out of it much.
Yeah, not much. Shannon, what are they saying?
Well, he just came over the radio and said the car feels very good. But, guys, he was having a lot of fun with his team while he was waiting to drive out. He was telling a story about his first time racing here when he was actually qualifying and almost took out the entire field of Cup cars getting ready to qualify back in 2007. I want you to listen to some of the radio. It's actually good stuff.
Got about 5 minutes to go. Wait a minute. All right. I thought we were supposed to roll out at 6:10. Well, it's 6:05 right now. Oh, is that clock fast? You know I strive to be 5 minutes late. So we set it 10 minutes quicker. I would have sat outside the car for like another 5 minutes. We were actually wondering what you were doing getting in that quick. You got me, man. I'll give you. You got me. Last time you'll be early.
It is amazing, guys, how much fun you can have when you're fast on the racetrack, huh?
Yeah, when things are going well, and certainly for that young man inside that race car, life is good right now. Competent racing is good for Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, he's already posted the fastest speed so far, 29.68.
There's Kyle Busch. See how many laps he makes in that 18 car in this practice. As far as overall fast laps are concerned, Kyle just 14th fastest in the opening practice of the day today. Now, just 14th fastest is probably appropriate where Kyle's concerned in this racetrack.
Yeah, don't worry about it. He'll be fine, I promise you.
Carrying that throttle all the way in that
That's a long
corner.
way down into the corner. It sure was.
So we'll track Kyle Busch's times as he goes on and makes a run. There's the championship leader in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Driver of the 6 car with a 20-point lead on Elliott Sadler in the championship. That's 20 positions on the racetrack. 4 straight top 10 finishes on the mile-and-a-half tracks for Stenhouse. But as we were discussing in our coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup practice earlier, not all mile-and-a-halves are created equally. So to be that consistent over the course of them tells you that, first of all, the young man's got speed, and second, that the equipment that's underneath him has a good feel for it.
Well, one of the things they're going to do right here is they obviously want your car to go fast. That one fast lap, because that ranks you up on the board and everything, makes everybody feel good. But you're watching just how much you fall off as you run. You want those laps to stay as consistently fast as you can, and you're tracking not just your laps, you're looking at who you think you're going to be racing and comparing your lap times. And I'm watching right now just Brad Keselowski versus Stenhouse. You know, they're very, very close in lap times, but it looks like Brad Keselowski still has just a little bit of edge on him, even after they run a few laps.
And Stenhouse, you know, we talk about, is he going to fold under some of the pressure? And Elliott Sadler, the more experienced of the two in battling for this championship. I haven't seen that. This young man has a lot of confidence in his ability, and he's shown that all year. And the last 4 or 5 races, he's shown that he's ready to go toe-to-toe with anyone. I've really been impressed on some of these days, and last week was an example at Kansas. They didn't have their best piece, but he hung in there. They made adjustments. He didn't do anything stupid with the race car. He just let things kind of take his place and ended up with a good solid day, minimized the damage with Elliott Sadler running 3rd. He finished 5th and was right there with him.
Carl Edwards, of course, a valuable resource to Stenhouse and to that team as he works around some of the slower cars here at Charlotte Motor Speedway in NASCAR Nationwide Series final practice.
I'm Jimmy Johnson. Everywhere I go, guys want to know if Extends really works. Well, it works for me. With over 1 billion tablets of Extends taken by men of all ages, I was sold, and you should be too. Extends is designed to maximize what you already have. It's not about not being enough, it's about being more. Extends does things only one way, really, really big.
Extends is now available in the vitamin section of these and other fine retailers. But if you're still skeptical about Extends, we'll send you a free week supply of Extends for the cost of a postage stamp.
Tell us about Golden Corral's new chocolate Wonderfall.
It's like going to a wedding without dressing up. You dip whatever you want in it. There's fruit and macaroons and Rice Krispie treats.
My favorite thing to dip is the marshmallows.
Yeah, the strawberry is great.
Yeah, the strawberry is good. I love chocolate. Always have since I was a little kid.
Only Golden Corral would introduce the indulgently delicious chocolate Wonderfall for the same low price.
One word, awesome.
It made my jaw drop.
Golden Corral. Now this is helping yourself to happiness.
Through turn 1, it's still Richard Petty wins the Southeastern 500.
This is how a young man was crowned a king. And a kid from Dawsonville finally lived up to his nickname. This is when we discovered just how high smoke can rise. It's where family traditions get started, and other traditions get taken in a whole new direction.
Taking a backwards lap.
This is where names are engraved, not just in metal, but in history.
It's been a 12-hour night shift, and I'm still going strong. It works for me.
When a late-night call comes in, I'm awake, alert, and ready on a moment's notice. It works for me.
Works Energy, a safe and effective boost of energy that works fast and lasts for hours. It's 0 calories, contains 0 sugar, and tastes great, too. Our name says it all. Works Energy will work for you. Now available in Walgreens nationwide.
If you need cash now, here's how to get up to $1,500 fast with instant approval and no credit checks. Simply log on to needcash.com. Tell us how much you need, and in minutes, the funds can be wired. It's just that easy and just that fast, regardless of bad credit. Needcash.com is available online 24/7. Log on to needcash.com and see how quickly you can get the cash you need.
Think the young guy's getting a chuckle out of seeing himself up there on that massive high-definition video board that's outside the backstretch here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That was fun. NASCAR Nationwide Series final practice followed by Sprint Cup qualifying. What we expect could be a session of incredible speeds and likely a new track record here at Charlotte, already one of the sport's fastest tracks. Sam Hornish Jr. out there for Penske Racing in that number 12 Dodge. Of course, Sam not done a lot of racing in this 2011 season, something he hopes to change for next season. Finished 12th here in the May race. And really, the faster tracks seem to have been the ones that have suited Sam the best in his transition from the open wheels over the few years to NASCAR.
Yeah, if you see some of his success he's had in Indy cars, it's on tracks where you basically hold the throttle wide open and just carry an incredible amount of speed. And I think that's one thing that's carried over. These Nationwide cars are a lot like that here. I mean, you're almost flat out around this track, and I think this is maybe one of Sam's best tracks.
Had some of his best Sprint Cup finishes at Pocono Raceway, where you carry a lot of speed through the corners. Is Carl Edwards ever going to get in that race car, Dave?
I don't know. His crew looks really bored back here, Alan. They'd like a driver to jump in the seat and just go out there and bust off some laps. What are you waiting for?
I was waiting to talk to Ricky here and see what he thought about it.
Good call.
Mike Beam said we're going to wait a little bit so that it's closer to race time, which I think you guys already covered. I saw that on television earlier. But I'm pretty excited to get to talk to Ricky a little bit, see what he thought of his. And the track changes a little bit, and that sun goes down, you know, and the track temp in 3 and 4 really drops. So we're going to wait a little bit to the end so we don't fool ourselves. We've done that a bunch here, and it's been really hard to come back through the race. So we're going to try real hard not to outsmart ourselves. And, yeah, we're getting a little less practice, but hopefully it'll go well.
All right, we'll let you go talk to your teammate. Thanks.
Thank you.
Possibly a case where less is more.
Yeah, and that's definitely the case. I mean, you know, if you chase the track now and it's changing, then you got to chase it one way, then chase it back the other, and then, you know, you just kind of get confused.
Well, it's been going. They might ought to limit him and Brad Keselowski to a certain amount of practice anyway.
Yeah. They have certainly been the strength of the field in this last month. 3 straight 1-2 finishes for Keselowski and Edwards in the Nationwide Series. Dave, got more on what Stenhouse was saying?
Well, yeah, I'd like to be right in there, Alan, listening, but 3's a crowd, I believe. However, we do have some radio traffic from Ricky while he was out there. He might be telling them these kind of things.
Definitely right now for track conditions, we need to turn better. We need front grip. 1 and 2 is pretty solid. You know, obviously I can still feel it. The front tires sliding, but and I think later on it's going to be about right. I don't know what I would do to it right now, you know.
And remember, in the first practice earlier today, they took just a few laps, 7 total timed laps, in order to kind of save everything, save the tires, don't put a lot of wear on the motor, and get ready for this practice session, which is more important.
And always, thank you, Dave, as always, the hands in describing the car. Got to have the hands moving.
That's the only way that you can really get your message across. You can say the words, but you have to give some kind of shape, and now Ricky's going to put it on paper exactly what's happening with his race car and each of these parts.
That's a good lap right there, Elliot.
I like this right here. This makes the driver think about exactly what his car's doing. It's right there. He's got to write something on those blanks, and you have to think about it. And that's you know, I've driven a little bit. Sometimes you get back and it's almost hard to remember what the car did at every point of the